What's up, everyone? I'm Kel. Welcome to the Red Zone, and today we're going to talk about some Oathbreaker. Specifically, we're going to talk about the best ways for you to get into Oathbreaker if you have little to no Magic the Gathering collection. If you want more information about Oathbreaker as a format, please check out my video, What is Oathbreaker and why you should be playing it, because you definitely should be playing it. Oathbreaker is really sweet, but I digress. The main topic of this video is the best ways for you to get into playing Oathbreaker, and the best ways, in my opinion, are these Throne of Eldraine Brawl decks. However, I would be remiss not to at least mention the Commander Precon decks. These are also a fantastic way to get into Oathbreaker if you have little to no collection. Let's talk about these a little bit first. The Commander Precons do come with a 100-card Commander deck. These ones, in particular the 2019 versions, do all come with one Planeswalker, so it would be appropriate for a Oathbreaker deck. However, you would have to remove some cards because not all of the Planeswalkers in the Commander decks are multicolored Planeswalkers. In fact, most of them are monocolored, so you'd have to make it into a monocolored Oathbreaker deck. This one in particular, the Merciless Rage, here I have an opened version here. Let's just scooch everything over to the side. This one would be a pretty good version if you wanted to make a mono-black Oathbreaker deck. Here, let's pull the deck out, and just so I can show you what you're kind of getting into here with one of these. We have some of the Commander cards here. They're a little bit cloudy. They've been sitting in here for a little while. There's some pretty good cards in here, and this one in particular, like Keurig, Son of Yawgmoth, is a really good one. And there's a bunch of just kind of random good cards that fit in the theme. This one in particular, you'd have to make it into a mono-black deck if you didn't have a whole lot of cards extra, because this one comes with Ob Nixilis Reignited. So what you would do is you would buy this. You would, probably choose Ob Nixilis unless you have a Planeswalker that you want to make into an Oathbreaker deck already that's black, red, or black, red, and then you would cut cards from here to make that, make it into an actual deck. So if you wanted to make Ob Nixilis into your Oathbreaker, you would just go and cut all of the red cards, basically. There are some pretty good staple cards in here, like Ash Barrens is pretty good. There's a, Command Tower. There we go, Command Tower, and that kind of stuff. But today's video, we're going to be talking about the Throne of Eldraine Brawl decks. As I scooch them back into focus, we're going to talk about these guys. So, yeah, let's do that. So the Throne of Eldraine Brawl decks are, in my opinion, one of the best ways to get into Oathbreaker if you have little to no Magic the Gathering collection. They are 60-card decks. Each of them, at least in the Throne of Eldraine version, are 3-color decks, and there's not a whole lot of 3-color viable Oathbreaker options because, honestly, there's not just a whole lot of 3-color Planeswalkers. However, there are a ton of 2-color and mono-color Planeswalkers, so you can definitely make these work by adding some cards in your own collection. We're going to open up these and just show you what they come with, and then we'll talk about it a little bit more in depth on how to upgrade one in the future. And by in the future, I mean after we open these up. So let's open up this one. This is the Korvold Fey-Cursed King. These are about $21 MSRP. Well, they technically don't have an MSRP, but they're about $21 at your local Target or Walmart. If you can get one for that price at your LGS, I would say pick it up. Some of them are gouging them right now, but I do know there is a significant restock on the way. You should be able to pick these up for not too much. So let's open this up, see what it comes with. This is just kind of like a little Throne of Eldraine Brawl rules reference. If you wanted to play Brawl, if you wanted to play Brawl, I think Brawl is actually pretty fun, but, this is an Oathbreaker video. We're going to talk about some Oathbreaker, so let's open this up. We have the commander of the deck, Korvold Fey-Cursed King. Remember, in Oathbreaker, you have to have a Planeswalker as your commander or as your Oathbreaker. So, this wouldn't work, but I still think this is actually a pretty sweet card just in general. We'll set that to the side, and we'll open up this, the actual deck. The box is actually pretty cool. These deck boxes aren't anything too fancy or anything like that. They just come with the deck, which is right here. They come with a little divider, which, you can use this to divide your sideboard or alternate cards that you want to use for the deck, and this little nifty life counter thing. I don't think these are, like, super special or anything, but, I don't know, they're pretty cool. If you don't want to use, like, this spin-down die, which I think is, like, the worst way to keep track of your life, I think these are actually not too bad. They're just kind of like, they're just like cardboard. You can kind of see. They're not super fancy or anything like that, but, I don't hate them. So let's set that to the side with this. This is just, you know, a filler insert. They made it big enough so you can actually put a like double sleeved deck in here. But honestly, just go spend like $4, $1, however much they are for just a, you know, plastic Ultra Pro deck box. You can get the cheap deck boxes that work pretty well for not too much. So this one comes with Chittering Witch, Taste of Death. We're not going to go through all of the cards individually, but I do want to give you a good sense of the kind of cards they come with, because I think the Brawl decks actually come with some very good cards, like more so than the Commander decks on average. Judith the Scourge Diva is fantastic in a Rakdos style deck. Fine Finality. So what the main things that these come with that Commander decks do not come with are really good rare lands. This one comes with the Temple of Malady, or Temple of Malady. This is the black-green Scryland. But it should also come with, comes with a Shock Land, which is really good. Shock Lands are always going to be worth a little bit of money. Put these in your whatever format, man. These are great. Bake into a Pie. And here we have some of the Throne of Eldraine cards. Not super exciting, you know, not huge staples, but still pretty good. The Arcane Signet. Every single Brawl deck comes with an Arcane Signet, and you're going to want this for almost every single Oathbreaker deck, or even, you know, Commander deck. Yeah, Arcane Signet is a fantastic card. You know, once again, a staple. You get some really good stuff here that you can actually use when you get a bigger collection and you want to, you know, move some of the cards here into a different deck. We have, you know, Orzhov Enforcer. Playcrafter's a pretty good one. A lot of these are just like commons and uncommons, but like I said, there's some pretty good ones. Evolution Stage is just an uncommon, but it's a pretty sweet one, especially for Oathbreaker, because I think the Proliferate mechanic is a pretty good one in Oathbreaker, being able to put additional counters on your Oathbreaker. Fine Broker, Death Sprout, Thrashing Brontodon, Rhythm of the Wild, Leyline Prowler. Let's just keep going through here. Here we have Angrath, Captain of Chaos. So you could buy this deck, take out all of the green cards, and then have Angrath as your Oathbreaker. And then fill in whatever, you know, if you have any extras, or if you don't have quite 60 cards, or, you know, 58 cards plus your Oathbreaker and signature spell to, you know, with cards from your collection. Here are the lands. There should also be, so we have some just kind of like common lands. Cryptic Caves is actually pretty sweet, but we also have a Command Tower. Once again, you're going to want this in any multicolored Oathbreaker deck. And we have some just kind of like standard come into play, tapped lands, that kind of stuff. So for this deck, you could, like I said, have Angrath as your Oathbreaker. And then, you know, go through here, find a black or red or both like spell to be your signature spell. You know, let's find one that's not too bad. You can do Bake into a Pie, I guess. Yeah, there's not really one. Oh, no, Taste of Death. It's kind of expensive, but you could do Taste of Death. There's a lot of green cards in this deck. But, like I said, you could just fill it out with cards from your own collection. If you bought in, like, a booster box, or if you bought in, like, a bundle or something like that. By the way, Chittering Witch is actually pretty good, I think, in Oathbreaker and Commander. So, yeah, you can buy this deck, have a lot of good staples, a lot of, like, you know, not a lot, but a couple really sweet rare lands, some pretty good staples like the Arcane Signet, and make it into an Oathbreaker deck. Let's look at the other deck. This is Chulane. Teller of Tales. So let's open this one up real quick, show you what it comes with, and then after that, I'm going to show you what I'm going to be doing to upgrade one of these Brawl decks into an Oathbreaker deck. So it comes with the same kind of stuff. Comes with the little guide book here. We have the actual deck with Sir Chulane himself. Actually a fantastic card. A little bit shinier on this one than the Corvald there. Really nice one to have. And then we have the deck box, this little, you know, garbage. Inside the deck box should be the same type of stuff. We have the life counter. We have the deck and a little spacer. Let's get rid of these for the time being. I'm going to keep those the life counters. I think they're nice. I can give them out to my friends or something if I end up with a bunch of them. So let's open up this. The pull tab is a little wonky on this particular one, but that's okay. This one actually has some really sweet cards in it. The Fairy Formation is not in the Alayla deck. It is, in fact, in the Chulane deck, which is actually kind of funny. Steelbane Hydra is another actually pretty good one. Thorn Mammoth. Toma Legends is a great one. Parhelion 2. Endray's Forerunners is a really sweet card. It's not an expensive card, but it's a really good finisher, especially if you don't have something like Craterhoof Behemoth already in your collection. Time Ripe is sweet. Hollowed Fountain is an amazing card. I mean, it's a shockland, but Hollowed Fountain in particular is kind of a more expensive shockland. Usually like, 12, 15 bucks, something like that. We have a Temple of Mystery. Once again, you always get every single Brawl deck, no matter which one you get, at least for the Throne of Eldraine, comes with a Shockland and a Scryland, which, once again, pretty uncommon. They don't come in the Commander precons. Here we have a bunch of Throne of Eldraine cards, Arcane Signet. Like I said, every deck comes with the Arcane Signet. Have some pretty good removal in, like, the Prison Realm. Let's see what else. Crawl Harpooner. We have some Ramp, Frilled Mystic, Growth Spiral. Really good stuff there. Shark the Crab. Ooh, Risen Reef. The bane of Magic Arena, I suppose. And then we have some basic lands. Gorgeous basic lands, actually. Beautiful. Should also have a command tower in the back. All of them come with a command tower. So yeah, that is the Chulane Teller of Tales deck. Some pretty sweet cards in here. There are two other Brawl decks that you can get a hold of. I don't have the Alayla one, but what I do have is the one that I want to show you. I have the Sir Gwynn Deck. So what I've done here is I've basically just gone through my collection. I didn't want to go through my entire collection, because if you've seen my other videos, you know I have a pretty robust Magic the Gathering collection. What I did here is I pulled out all of the standard cards that I had that I thought would be pretty cool. I don't buy a lot of standard cards. I'm not a standard player. I just buy booster boxes for the channel, open up some random packs because I think it's fun to open up packs. And I figured this is kind of going to be similar-ish to what you might have if you're a brand new player and you picked up some, standard packs. Most of these are going to be War of the Spark and Throne of Eldraine. Also, I want to note this card, this whole Fibblethip, please open before playing. This actually came with the Sir Gwynn deck because it came with a misprinted Corpse Knight. So this is the actual Corpse Knight, the 2/3 here. This deck came with, let's see if I can find it quickly enough. It came with the misprinted 2/3 version. You can see here, 2/3 and 2/2. So it came with that packaged in the actual deck in the shrink wrap, and then it came with another little shrink wrapped little package by itself, also in the box, that had this in it. And I was like, what the hell is this? And I was like, oh yeah, it's the misprinted card. So this is the Sir Gwynn deck. Once again, they're all tricolor decks. This one is a pretty cool one. It's a pretty aggressive deck. It's probably the least favorite of everyone that I've talked to, but I think it's a pretty cool one because I think Knights are great. It has some really nice cards for standard, like the Knight of Ebon Legion. Really good cards for Oathbreaker in general, like the Icon of Ancestry. Once again, comes with a sweet Shockland, a sweet Scryland, and then a bunch of Throne of Eldraine cards that, Knight Synergy. Has some Knight Synergy, basically. This one does not come with a Planeswalker, so to make it into an Oathbreaker deck, you would need to get your own Planeswalker. However, I think that's actually a pretty easy thing to do. So that is the actual pre-constructed deck. Oh, of course, with Sir Gwynn. I really want to make a Dark Souls altar on this and make it into Lord Gwyn. If you know Dark Souls, you know Lord Gwyn. And so these are the cards that I pulled that I got in my collector booster and other random stuff that I've just been opening up. So you might not have the full extended art version of these, but you might just have a regular rare version of these. So I pulled Fervent Champion, Sir Caro the Bold, Joust. Basically, I pulled a bunch of Knight-themed cards. I had a Cavalier Flame sitting in my bulk box. Rimrock Knight, Mirror Match, I think could be a really good one, or Mirror March. I had a Murderous Rider that I opened, and then some of the alternate frame cards for cards that actually came in the deck to kind of spice it up a little bit to make it, make it my own, add my own little personality. Cavalier Knight is another really sweet knight. Forever Young, I added some removal spells, added a Dread Horde Invasion. Oddly enough, this one comes in the Korvald Fakehurst King. I had some War of the Spark Japanese Planeswalkers. I think the Wanderer is a pretty sweet one. And then here we have some more extended art stuff. Once again, you can just get the regular rare versions, or if you just open up in packs, these are not expensive cards. We have some more of the extended art stuff. I had a random God Eternal Ketra. I was like, yeah, you know what? This would be good in the deck. It's a pretty sweet mythic. Oathbreaker is a great place to put your pet cards. If you have a card that you think is really sweet, but doesn't really fit the theme or doesn't really go into any of your standard decks, jam it into your Oathbreaker deck, jam it into your Commander deck. God Eternal Oketra is good for that, in my opinion. Unbreakable Formation could be the signature spell. We have a Stormfist Crusader, Wintermoor Commander. Some of the ones that are actually in this, they're foil versions here, so you can kind of see this one is a more foil version than the others. Judith the Scourge Diva would be good in this deck. Also came in the Corvault deck. And then we have some other ones, like I said, from War of the Spark and from the Ravnica sets, like Ethereal Absolution. Great card for Oathbreaker. Not worth a whole lot of money. You could probably have one of these sitting around, and if you don't, you can get it for like 20 cents. It's sweet. Same for Chance for Glory. Really good way to try to end the game. Bedevil's a great removal spell, and here we have my 2 cards that I pulled that are pretty easy to get. Not expensive at all, especially if you don't have, you know, the alternate Japanese art here. These could be the Oathbreakers for this deck. You could buy this deck, the Sir Gwynn Knight Brawl deck, and then you can just get, you know, the uncommon Nahiri or the rare Sorin from War of the Spark as your Oathbreaker. These are both fantastic for the deck. Nahiri has equipment themes, and this deck also has equipment theme, and Sorin kind of gives all your dudes lifelink on your turn, also gives your planeswalkers lifelink too, and then he can like resurrect guys from your graveyard. You know, the -X, you can bring creatures from your graveyard back into play, and a lot of our knights are pretty cost effective, so Sorin could bring them back into play pretty easily. So what you could do for this, actually, before I say that, before I get ahead of myself, I also added in a Wrath, Kaya's Wrath. Fantastic, really cheap. And then I had a Fabled Passage, Castle Ardenvale, just some other random lands that I had. Like, once again, these are all standard lands. Sacred Foundry, I had a, you know, random Shock land, or another random Scry land. I think Witch's Cottage is pretty sweet. And a foil version of the Tournament Grounds. Once again, my lighting's not the best in this videos, but you can see it's foil. Trust me, trust me, it's foil. So basically, once again, as a quick recap before I kind of get into these, I just pulled a bunch of cards that I had in standard lying around that you probably also have. Or if you've played a little bit at all, you might have a couple booster packs here or there of cards you might want to add in. So what you could do, let's say we want to make, who would be the coolest one? I think Sorin would actually be the coolest. Let's say we're going to make Sorin into our Oathbreaker. Nahiri actually has some really cool applications here, but just for the sake of it, let's make Sorin into our Oathbreaker. Say these are cards that you have in your collection, and you're like, yeah, I play standard. I have these cards in my collection. I want to make an Oathbreaker deck, but I don't have enough to make into a really sweet, expensive Oathbreaker deck. You don't have to make it into an expensive Oathbreaker deck. It's a pretty casual format, and the people who are playing it, at least in my experience, are pretty, like, casual friendly, and, you know, you can tell them, like, oh, hey, my deck's not, like, super tuned, and they'll pull out their cool, you know, janky Garruk tribal deck or whatever. So, say we're going to do Sorin. So, let's just take away all of the red cards here, and I'm going to do that for the deck as well. And by the deck, I mean the that pre-constructed deck over there. I believe that's it. Okay, cool. Well, I just took out all of the stuff. Let's see. We'll say Sorin is our Oathbreaker. Perhaps we want our signature spell, maybe Unbreakable Formation, giving all of our creatures indestructible. That's pretty good, especially for a deck where we are like very heavy creature focused. We could also make, let's see, we can also make something like Despark or Mortify into our signature spell if we want to be like a more removal heavy. I would say Unbreakable Formation. I think Unbreakable Formation is a fantastic Oathbreaker signature spell because after you get your Sorin out, the next turn you can kind of protect your whole team. But it's not like super crucial to the strategy, so if they kill your Sorin, it's not that big of a deal. So we have these two, and then let me count these real quick and we'll see how many cards we have. So this is 54 cards. I took away a bunch of the basics, you know, the mountains. I would add in more basics to fill it out and then cut some cards to add a couple more lands. And there you have it. I just kind of grabbed these all at random. Well, not at random. I just went through all of my cool standard cards, and I was like, let me pull all the cards that I think I would put into an Oathbreaker deck if you just only played standard or something like that. You could also upgrade this into a better Brawl deck if you wanted to, you know, continue to play Brawl. But once again, this is an Oathbreaker video. I think the Throne of Eldraine Brawl decks are a fantastic way to get into Oathbreaker because they give you basically the foundation of a sweet Oathbreaker deck and a lot of cards that you're going to be using for years to come. You know, like your Godless Shrines here, like your Arcane Signets, and some just, you know, pretty good stuff, you know, Command Towers, and then some, like, pretty good, you know, standard stuff like Knight of the Ebon Legion. If you didn't want to keep this guy, you could trade him off for something else because he's worth a couple bucks these days. Either way you go, if you go with the Throne of Eldraine Brawl decks or a Commander Precon, these are both fantastic ways to get into Oathbreaker if you have little to no collection. Either way, you're going to have to make some tweaks. With the Brawl decks, you'll probably have to add some cards after cutting one of the colors. For the Commander decks, you'll probably have to cut a color and then kind of tweak it a little bit to make it into your liking. But they're both great ways to get into Oathbreaker if you're interested in the format, because it is a really sweet format, a really fun one. I recommend it highly. And one of the best things about it is a non-rotating format. So if you do end up playing Brawl and you do like Brawl and you play it a bunch, once your Brawl deck rotates out, you can just convert it into a Oathbreaker deck, because they're both 60 card decks, unlike Commander where they are 100 card decks. Well, technically 99 plus the Commander and 58 plus the Oathbreaker and Signature Spell, but you know what I'm talking about. I hope this video was helpful to someone out there, or at least entertaining. Tell me what you think of the video in the comments down below. I'll see you guys next time for some more Magic the Gathering content. We got some more Oathbreaker stuff coming up. We got some maybe Commander stuff coming up as well. These are both fantastic formats. Maybe even some Brawl stuff. You guys wanna see some Brawl videos? I don't know. Let me know. I'll see you later.